Hi, my name is Daniel Foley Carter, and in today's video I'm going to show you a really simple trick that we can use to get data from a page to show how old that page may be and to pair it against Search Console data. Now, before I go into this, what I'm effectively looking to do here is show you a process that I typically go through when I'm looking at content that I can get rid of, that I can cull. Now, there's a number of reasons why you would go through this. So typically, whenever we're looking at data from Search Console, effectively what we don't want in a domain's profile is we don't want URLs that are dead or extremely weak. We especially don't want an index full of dead URLs that are aged. Typically, whenever we're looking to maintain our content, what we should be conscious of is how much of our index is of value. Okay, so think of your website as a pie. Okay, let's say you've got 1,000 pages in your pie. What you don't want is you don't want hundreds of pages that have built up over the last 5 to 10 years that are still being indexed by Google, or potentially crossing the barrier between once being indexed and then falling into crawled, currently not indexed, discovered, currently not indexed. So if we take our pie, if we said 25% of our pie are URLs that generate clicks, okay, that's going to look really bad, because that means that 75% of our pie, 75% of our website doesn't generate any clicks and isn't of any real intrinsic value. Now, there are some exceptions to that. You might have 10% of those URLs that get organic traffic that has come in on another page and is part of that user journey. But generally what we're looking to do is we're looking to keep our index lean and clean. Now, there's lots of people in the SEO industry that are putting out SEO tips, and the general one that I see over and over and over again is create content, blah, 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 write content, write content, write content. And it's just bad advice. It's bad to just sit and write content aimlessly. In fact, you know, if you run a tight content strategy and you're really thinking about the content that you create and you're making sure that everything that you create is of value and not going to cannibalize what you've already got or contribute to index bloat, you are better off creating less content and making sure that that content goes on to rank and generate traffic, or traffic of value, than you are just churning out 5, 10, 20 articles a week in the hope that some will stick. Because what will happen is that over time you'll end up with more cannibalization issues. You'll end up with index bloat, and that index bloat won't generate any clicks. It will sap link equity from other pages so that you've got the dilution, and it's just generally not good advice. Now, in this video, what I'm going to do is just show you something that you can do quite simply to speed up deciding, you know, do we keep this content or do we get rid of it? Okay. Now, one thing that we could say is okay, well, you know, it's very easy to just find URLs on your site that are 0 click, low impression, bin them. But actually, that's not always the case. Sometimes you can have other things that impact content uptake, content performance, and whatnot. So one thing that I typically do is what I'm looking for is I'm looking for low click, low impression combination rather than 0 click, low impression, because I've seen it still on lots of sites where there's like hundreds of URLs that might have like 1 click and 10 impressions. So the likelihood that those URLs are going to contribute over time is very low. So what we're going to do is I'm going to demonstrate to you something that you can do to, shall we say, help in the sanitization process in terms of looking at your index. Now, in the post, I've mentioned that you would go into Search Console, you would go into performance search results, and then you would export last 16 months of data. Now, that's fine if you've got a site that's, you know, 1,000 pages or less, because you'll be able to get every single URL on the export. If, however, you've got 2,000 pages, 4,000 pages, 5,000 pages, then what you're going to want to do is get the Search Analytics for Sheets extension, open the sidebar, make sure that your Chrome profile and Google account you're signed in on the same account, otherwise it won't work. you open the sidebar, and then once you've opened the sidebar, select the domain from your Search Console profile, and then export the last 16 months of data so that you get all of the pages for the clicks, impressions, average position, CTR. Okay, so Search Analytics for Sheets. If you haven't got it, install it, and then sign into your Google account and export the data. Now, once you've got your data like this, and I've sanitized most of the data, just obviously so that it doesn't disclose the actual figures, what we're going to do is we're on the Pages tab, we're going to click Control A, and we're going to click Create a Filter. Okay. Now, what we first want to do is select clicks, filter by condition, and then what we're going to want to do is click less than, and you know, there's no fixed amount, but generally I'd say less than 10 clicks. You know, we're looking at 16 months of data. Then what we want to do is we really want to be looking at the bottom end. Okay, so anything that's 100 impressions or less is really what we're going to be wanting to find here. So if something has got almost no clicks and 100 impressions over the space of 16 months, the probability that it's going to be of value is extremely low. Now, there are a few exceptions to this. So, for example, if you've published content in the last 3 months and it falls into this list, then typically you might find that a lack of internal links and other indexing issues might impede uptake of content. So, what we're going to want to do here is we're now going to want to add a column for when the content was posted. So we can put posted date, or we can put age, however you want to do it. Okay, and we're just going to centralize these. Okay, now what I then like to do is I like to press Control A, Control C, then data, remove the filter, then delete. Then what you want to do again is click A1 and paste, then click data and create a filter again. And what that means is that it just allows the filter to extend across to here. And it also means that when we're using an import XML with a cell reference, we're starting at A2. Okay, now this process can work on most URLs. How you do it will vary. Okay, now not all content will have a date, not everything will have a date on it. So we have to be mindful of that. We can use different functions in ImportXML to parse HTML to look for a date. So even if you've got a published date in metadata, you can get that with ImportXML. And I'll also do a separate video on using JSON to get this data so that we can import it and then we can use it as part of the content filtering process. So what we're going to want to do is we're really going to want to, first of all, identify whether or not these are HTTP 200, okay? And we can do that with an apps script. Now, it's important to note, as I mentioned earlier, that you'll want to be signed in on the same browser. So if you just bear with me 1 second. And I will now make this so I can do it and open the app script. And just bear with me. Okay. Right, so if you notice here, my Chrome profile and my Google profile are signed in together. So it has to be like this in order for it to work. If you don't have it like that, it won't work. Okay, so what we're going to do, I'm just going to get my apps script for HTTP status code checking. I've also posted this and will provide resources for this also. So we'll just call this HTTP status for now. And what we're going to do is use this script here. Again, I'll provide this so that you've got it. And we'll save it. And it may ask for permissions as well. To be clear, sometimes these things, they sound easy, but when you try and run them, or you might have permission issues and things like that. So it's always good to make sure that you can run it. Now, I've actually, for some reason, one of my Google accounts, just everything is blocked, even though I've changed all the settings. You shouldn't have this problem if you run this script, but basically you should be able to effectively run the script in here. And what you're going to do is use HTTP status code. And effectively, you'll run that HTTP status script, which won't run. No, it won't. And you'll drag it down. Then what you're going to do is, once you've done that, you'll just simply select, you can either select here or filter by condition HTTP 200. And that way, you then filter down just to the URLs that you've got. Now, again, I'd love to do the whole thing and execute it, but it's always the way with Google Sheets and permissions. Because I created this sheet in this account, that means that I have to replicate the sheet in another account just to get the script to run. So run that HTTP status script. The other thing that you can do is also, you can crawl using Screaming Frog, export into another tab, and then you can use VLOOKUP to get the HTTP status code. Now, what we're going to do is we want to get dates for content. Okay, now what I'm going to do, just to make this as an example, I'm going to find all of the blogs. Okay, so I've selected the filter blog, and let's go on a blog to see if there is a date. Okay, so we've got a date here, September the 2nd, 2022. Now, what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to get this. We're going to want to get this element, and we can use something called ImportXML. Okay, now with ImportXML, what we can do is we can effectively start and we can build an XPath query. Okay, so effectively what we're going to want to do, and I'm just going to put my glasses on so I can actually see, is we're going to want to select the cell reference. Now that's a PDF, so what we'll do, we'll just start here instead. Okay, and we're now going to get our XPath query. Now, if we go here, we can see that there's a date. So what we're going to do, we're going to hit F12, and we're going to select the inspection. Okay, so we can get the span class here. Then what we're going to do, we're going to right click and we're going to click copy, and then we're going to click copy full XPath. So we now do that. And we're going to go back over to here and we're going to paste our XPath. And we're going to close it. We don't need to do anything else, and we're going to run it. Now, what that now means is that I can run this across all of the URLs. And not every URL will have this. Okay. And effectively, what that will allow me to do is, obviously, anything that is HTTP 200 means that we're only going to check URLs that exist. But we've got this filter here, okay? So what we can also do, we can use a custom formula. We can use regex here to basically say text contains or text not contains. So we can filter out PDFs, we can filter out PHP extension, or we can filter out anything that we don't want to get a date for, so that we're left with raw URLs, okay? As you can see here, I'm now starting to get, dates. And what that will allow me to do is, it will allow me to understand, well, there's an article here from June the 21st, 2016, 58 impressions, 0 clicks. Like, there is no value whatsoever in keeping this content. None. We'd get rid of it. Okay. Now it can take a little while to run, but once it's run, what you can then do is you can then use filter by condition, and then you can do date is before, date is after. Okay. So once this is finished running, we'll do some filtering. Now, the other thing that we can do, okay, is at the same time, one thing I would always advocate on doing is if you're going through the cull process, is to just do a quick check to see what URLs exist with links. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to go into Ahrefs and we're going to select more and we're going to click batch analysis. Okay, and then we're going to paste our URLs and we're going to click analyze. And then we'll wait and then we'll let export. And we'll open our batch analysis. Okay. And effectively, all we care about here are columns H onwards. So we're going to select these and drag over. So from column H to Y. Okay. And we're going to go back. And from here, we're just going to click edit, paste special, paste values only, and then we will centralize them. Okay. So now we've got the referring domain counts against the URLs, so we can subfilter further. Now what we can do is we can duplicate our tab, okay, and we can start filtering. Now, because these are functions, if you duplicate the tab, it's going to run the scripts again. Okay, now some of these are still stuck on loading. Okay, so for now, let's just copy it, paste special, values only. Okay. Oh, it's changed it. Let's undo that. Okay, there we go. Then what we can do is we can duplicate the tab, and then we can put, obviously, we could put, I don't know, older blogs 2019 or before. What we can then do is we can select posted date, filter by condition, and then we can do date is before, and then what we can do is we can do exact date, and we can do Jan 1st 2019. And now I've got a list of URLs that are old. I can see how many clicks, I can see how many impressions, and I can see which ones have got external referring links. Okay, so I might decide, well, look, these things aren't worth keeping. I'm going to cull them, and I'm only going to redirect the ones that have got referring domain, one or more referring domains. This process you can use to effectively drill down and match up how old is the content against weak metrics. And this should really help when it comes to deciding what content to cull or keep. Anyway, I hope this video has come in handy. Follow me on LinkedIn. My name is Daniel Foley Carter. Visit our website at SEO-audits.io. If you go on the SEO-audits.io, in the footer are social links. Follow us on LinkedIn, follow us on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe, and I hope you all have a lovely day.